Good morning, everyone. I am Sunil Kumar Vishwakarma, Assistant Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, School of Engineering, Babu Banarsi Das University, Lucknow. Today, in this lecture, I am going to discuss the concepts of internet working, how the internet working is used in the computer network. So, first of all, internet working. Internet working means connecting networks together to make an internetwork or an internet. So the definition of internet is the network of networks. It can be the combination of various LANs, local area networks, metropolitan area networks, and wide area networks. Now, here is a diagram which is showing the links between two hosts. There are two hosts, A and D. A is connected with a LAN. That LAN is connected with a router, and after that router is connected to a wide area network, and further it is connected to the two routers. Here it is shown in S2 and S3. Here one first router is shown as S1, and further through a link it is connected to a LAN. S3 is also connected to a LAN, and further with that LAN a device D is connected. So this is showing the links between two hosts. Here two layers are shown in the diagram, physical layer and the data link layer. First the frames are sent to the physical layer from the device A, and after that it is sent to the router S, because every intermediate node in the network acts as a router. So it is sent to the S1, and after that it is sent from S1 to the S3. Okay, so there is hop to hop delivery, and for the hop to hop delivery, which layer is responsible? Data link layer. And for the actual communication, or we can say the where electromagnetic signals are sent using the physical layer of the OSI model. Okay, this is the network layer in an internet network. The third layer, or layer 3 of the OSI model, is network layer. And one interesting thing is these three layers of the OSI model are responsible for the physical movement of the data. Physical movement of the data means the data is transferred from node A to node B, from node B to node C. So this is showing the physical movement of the data. So how many layers are responsible for the physical movement of the data in the network from one point to another? So we will say three layers: physical, data link, and network. Layer 1, 2, and 3. So this is shown in this diagram. Now the network layer at the source, router, and the destination. There are two devices, source and destination. Here this is source device. There is data from another protocol, and after that it is processed with the help of routing table. Decisions are taken which route is to be followed, and after that when packet travels in the network, it contains the IP address of the source and the destination and all the routing information which is to be used during the transmission of the packet. And this packet is not directly sent to the receiver. It is first sent to the data link layer, and its reverse process is also done at the receiver end. So here in this two diagrams. First is the network layer at the source, and the another is the network layer at the destination. Now the network layer at the source, router, and the destination. If there is a router or there is an intermediate node between the two hosts, so router takes the data from data link layer, and after that, with the help of routing table, again IP packet and its routing information is encapsulated with the packet, and after that it is transferred to the data link layer. It is shown in the diagram. In the yellow color, routing table is shown. Now the packet switching. Data transmitted in small packets in the packet switching, typically less than 1500 bytes, and the longer messages is split into series of packets. Each packet contains a portion of user data plus some control information. Control information means that sender and receiver address, error controlling information, flow controlling information, it may be. Now second is the control information, that is routing or addressing information. The third point is packets are received, stored briefly in the buffer area, and the passed on the next node using the store and forward mechanism, because the store and forward mechanism is used in the packet switching technique. In this, the use of packet is shown. There is application data, and there are two systems, and they are connected with the help of packet switch networks. Now the switching techniques. In the switching techniques, switches are used. Switches are used to create temporary connection between any two devices, because practically it is not possible to make one-to-one connection to between all the devices which are on the internet. So it is not possible to make one-to-one. It is practically not possible. So for that, switches are used. And switches, what is switch? Switches are the devices which are used to create the temporary connections. And when the communication is over, the connection is released and all the resources are free. In the switching techniques here, station breaks long messages into packets. Packets sent one at a time to the network, and the packets handled in the two ways, as the datagram and as a virtual circuit. Okay. Now the datagram. Each packet treated independently. Packets can take any practical route. That packet route is not fixed. Packets can take any practical route. Packets may arrive out of order, because any packet may be in the congestion. Congestion can occur, and at any router intermediate node. So the last packet which was sent in the last may arrive before the packet which is sent in the last. Okay, so out of order delivery there may be in the datagram networks. The packets may go missing, and up to the receiver to reorder packets and recover from missing packets. So this is the diagram of datagram, how it works, how the packets are sent from one system. There is a sequence 1, 2, 3 packets, and after that the path is different for the different packets. So this is the case in the datagram networks. Virtual circuit. In virtual circuit, there is a pre-planned route established before any packets sent. Call request and call accept packets establish connection. Each packet contains a virtual circuit identifier instead of destination address. This is the important fact. And no routing decision required for each packet, because in virtual circuit there is a fixed path and all the packets follow that same path. But congestion is a problem in such type of techniques. So clear request to drop circuit and not a dedicated path. This is the virtual circuit diagram. All the packets follow the same route and there is no out of delivery of the packets. They arrive in the same order in which they are sent. This is shown in the diagram. Now, virtual circuit versus datagram. Virtual circuits network can provide sequencing and error control. In virtual circuits, packets are forwarded more quickly because no routing decisions to make. In virtual circuits, less reliable loss of a node loses all circuits through that node. But in the datagram, no call setup phase, better if few packets. In datagram, more flexible routing can be used to avoid congested parts of the network. So this is the comparison of virtual circuits and the datagrams. Now the switching at the network layer in the internet uses the datagram approach to the packet switching. Communication at the network layer in the internet is connectionless. Okay. Now there are two internet working protocols in the internet working. One is IPv4 and another is IPv6. The internet protocol, or we can say internet working protocol version 4, is the delivery mechanism used by the TCP/IP protocol, transmission control protocol, internet protocols. And this is the position of IPv4 in the TCP/IP protocol suite. There are 7 layers in the ISO-OSI model, but these layers do not exactly match with the TCP/IP protocol suite, and all those 7 layers are converted in these 5 layers. First, or we can say in the 4 layers, first 2 layers are combined and is known as underlying LAN or WAN host to network layer, we can say it. And the layer 2 is the network layer or internet layer, we can say, and the IPv4 is associated with this network layer. And in association with this IPv4, there are 4 other protocols: IGMP, ICMP, ARP, and RARP. Internet Group Message Protocol, Internet Control Message Protocol, Address Resolution Protocol, Reverse Address Resolution Protocol. So transport layer is the third layer of the TCP/IP protocol, and it contains the transmission control protocol TCP, UDP, user datagram protocol, and the stream control transmission protocol. Here TCP is used for the connection oriented, and UDP is not connection oriented, and SCTP implies or uses the best features of the TCP and the UDP. Now the last layer of the TCP/IP protocol suite is the application layer. It contains all the protocols such as simple mail transfer protocol, file transfer protocol, trivial file transfer protocol, domain name system, simple network management protocol, and there are many more protocols. A user interacts with the application layer. So we are discussing about the internet working protocol version 4, and in the next slide we will see the classes of the IP. Now we can say IPv4, Internet Protocol version 4, is an unreliable and connectionless datagram protocol, or we can say is a best effort delivery protocol. And best effort means that IPv4 provides no error control technique. No error control means error detection and error correction, but it provides the error detection on the header or flow control. IPv4 does its best to get a transmission through to its destination, but with no guarantees. Okay, so we can say IPv4 is an unreliable and connectionless datagram protocol. So this is the IPv4 address formats. Because IPv4 is a 32-bit address format, so we can say that the address space of IPv4 can be 2 to the power 32, means 2 to the power 32 unique devices can be allotted to the IP address in this IPv4 addressing formats. So there are two representations of IP addresses. One is binary notation and another is dotted decimal notation. So if we are using the binary notation, if the first octet contains first bit 0, it belongs to the class A category. There are 5 categories of the classes in the IPv4 addressing scheme. So in class A, first bit is 0. 0 is reserved as a first bit in the class A. In the class B, the first 2 bits are 1 0, and in the class C the first 3 bits are 1 1 0. In class D 1 1 1 0 for first 4 bits, and in class E first 5 bits are 1 1 1 1 0. Okay, so there are two concepts in this classes: network ID and the host ID. Here in the class A, in the first octet, first bit is used, or we can say first bit is used for identifying the class of the network, and the rest 7 bits represents the network ID. What do you mean by the network ID? Here network represents the 7 bits, or 7 bits represents the network, means there are 2 to the power 7 networks. There can be 2 to the power 7 networks in the class A addressing scheme, means 2 to the power 7 means 128 different networks can be possible in the class A network. And if there are 128 networks are possible in class A, the next question arises that what will be the size of each network, or in each network how many devices can be allocated unique IP addresses? The answer is here. In the class A, host 24 bits represents the host. In this way, each network can have 2 to the power 24 devices having unique IP addresses. So there are a large address space in the class A. Okay, there are only 128 networks, but the size of each network is very large, that is 2 to the power 24. In this way, in the class B, there are 14 bits are representing network ID. So we can say there are 2 to the power 14 networks, different networks, and the size of each network is 2 to the power 16. From here we can say. In this way we can find the different networks and the size of each network in each and every classes. After this, we can say that class A were designed for the large organizations and the class C were designed for the small organizations. Class D is fixed for the multicast communication, and class E is for future use. For the research purpose it is reserved. Okay, now this is the IP addresses. Class A, this is the 32-bit global internet address. I have already told you. network part and the host part. In every class there are network part and the host part. In the class A, start with binary A, all zeros reserved, and this is the 127 reserved for loopback, and the range of the IP address is 1 to 126 and all allocated. And this is the class B, starts at 10. This is the summary which is already told in the figure, which is already told while explaining to the explaining to figure. Okay, so this is the class B address where 2 to the power 14 class B addresses all allocated. In this way, this is class C. What is subnets and subnet masks? Now, subnets and subnet masks allow arbitrary complexity of inter-networked local area networks within an organization. It insulates overall internet from growth of network, numbers, and routing complexity. Site looks to rest of internet like single network, each LAN assigned subnet number, host portion of address partitioned into subnet number and host number, local routers route within a subnetted network, and subnet mask indicates which bits are subnet number and which are host number. This is the IPv4 datagram format. There are header and data, and header is divided into multiple fields: version field 4 bits, header length, services total length, identification bits, flag bits, fragmentation offset, and time to live indicates how much time the packet will survive in the network. Protocol header checksum is used for the error control, source IP address, and the destination IP address. So these are the fields which are used in the IPv4 addressing schemes. Okay, so these are the version, header length, and services, and the total length. There are identification bits also, flags, fragmentation offset, and time to live, and the protocol. Time to live is the time used to control the maximum number hops visited. Okay, so this is the IPv4 datagram format. Checksum, for checksum, once complement checksum is used in the source address and the destination address of the total length field defines the total length of the datagram, including the header. Now, the encapsulation of a small datagram in an Ethernet frame. So one of the reason why total length field is required, because there is a header L2 and the data is less than 46 bytes. There is a padding bit and there is a trailer is added. Why this trailer is added? Header uses the control information such as sender's address, destination's address, and the trailer is used for the error detection, or we can say the error control. So that's why it is added. And if we combine the data and padding, it uses the minimum length 46 bytes. This is the protocol field and the encapsulated data. In the network layer, after header, there is a ICMP, IGMP protocols and OSPF protocols. But in the transport layer, there are 3 protocols. I have already told you in the TCP/IP protocol, stream control transmission protocol, transmission control protocol, and user datagram protocol. These are the protocol values. Value 1 is used for ICMP, 2 IGMP, 6 is TCP, and 17 is UDP, and 89 is OSPF. This is an IPv4 packet has arrived with the first 8 bits as shown this. The receiver discards the packet Y. Solution is here. There is an error in this packet. The 4 leftmost bits 0100 shows the version which is correct. The next 4 bits shows an invalid header length. That is 8. The minimum number of bytes in the header must be 20. So the packet has been corrupted in the transmission. In this way, we can understand the concept. Now the second is, in an IPv packet, the value of header length is 1000 in binary. Sorry, 1000 in binary. So how many bytes of options are being carried by this packet? The solution, in the header length, hlen value is 8, which means the total number of bytes in the header is 8 into 4, that is 32 bytes. The first 20 bytes are the base header, the next 12 bytes are the options. Okay. Now the IPv4 checksum. IPv4 checksum uses the ones complement method. It computes for IP header, not for the data. And header is chunked to 16-bit sections for computing. This is the example of checksum calculation in the IPv4, how it is calculated, and for this ones complement is used. Now the IPv6, the network layer protocol in the TCP/IP protocol. So it is currently IPv4. Although IPv4 is well designed, data communication has evolved since the inception of IPv4 in the 1970s. So IPv4 has some deficiencies that make it unsuitable for the fast growing internet. Okay, so IPv6 advantages are larger address space, because IPv6 uses 128-bit IP, 128 bits. So it uses 2 to the power 128 address space. So better header format in comparison to IPv4. New options are there in IPv6. Allowance for extensions, support for resource allocation, and support for more security also in IPv6. So this is the IPv6 datagram header and payload. There is base header, and after that payload. In payload there are two fields, extensions headers and the data packet from upper layer. Okay, so base header uses 40 bytes and the payload uses up to 65,535 bytes. So this is the format of an IPv6 datagram. There are 4 bits are used for version, 4 bits are for priority, 8 bits, 8 bits and 8 bits for the flow level. 24 bits are used for the flow level. There are payload fields, next header, next header, next header, next header. In this way, IPv6 header format, datagram format is used. Here it is the comparison between the IPv4 and IPv6 packet header. The header length field is eliminated in IPv6 because the length of the header is fixed in this version. This service type field is eliminated in IPv6. The priority and flow level fields together take over the function of the service type field. Now the third point is the total length field is eliminated in IPv6 and is replaced by the payload length field. The identification field, flag and offset fields are eliminated from the base header in IPv6. They are included in the fragmentation extension header. The TTL, time to live field, is called hop limit in IPv6. The protocol field is replaced by the next header field in the IPv6. The header checksum is eliminated because the checksum is provided by upper layers protocols. So it is therefore not needed at this level. Okay. And the option field in IPv4 are implemented as extension headers in IPv6. There are transitions from IPv4 to IPv6. 3 transition strategies are there: dual stack, tunneling and header translation. This is the dual stack. Host uses DNS query result to determine which IP to use. So this is shown in IPv4 and IPv6 how it works. tunneling strategy is popular, used right now in many countries. Tunneling for the uh, migration from IPv4 to IPv6. This is the header translation strategy, how the headers are translated. Thank you.